Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast. We start as usual on the DXY on the weekly time frame, and we can see we had another bullish week, the third bullish week in a row. Again, a slightly undecisive weekly candle. At least we closed above this previous low here to the left, and we also closed above this area here we were defining last week already. We can see it clearer here on the 4-hour time frame. We were looking at this area here previous weeks already, and we said if we see price breaking above this level, we should get a bit more clarity, and we have already the first small retest of this area. So what I'm looking for now is basically for price to form a bull flag continuation in this area for the next leg to the upside. Of course, there is still an argument for this three-touch structure for price to breaking down and retesting the low again before we then might see some bigger reaction. But as it looks right now, with this kind of price action, I'm leaning again more towards US dollar long plays next week, since we are positioned for the next leg to the upside. Moving on to Euro US dollar. On the weekly time frame, we can see, of course, it's more or less the inverse picture, and we were looking for follow-through short trades last week already. And going down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see we had this first initial reaction here from the high to the left, and then it's more corrective price action. And towards the end of the week, we saw a break out of this area. So what I'm looking for now is, we can see we had the first impulsive move below this overall a bit more corrective price action. We had then the retest here on the 4-hour, a nice 4-hour retest, washout, high test, washout candle basically. And I'm now looking for a follow through. So preferably for price to follow through on the 4-hour and then showing on the lower time frame bear flag continuation to enter a short in this area. We are here a bit in no man's land then. You can see here to the left, there's nothing to worry until we are in this area here. So as soon as we get a reasonable bear flag pattern in this area, we have a nice run, which should move price at least into these areas here to the left. On Australian dollar, US dollar, on the weekly time frame, we have now the first bigger bearish week. Again, undecisive. We have two. It's not really a doji week, but we can see we ended on a week. We have this on watch for quite some time, and we still have this overall impulsive run here, a correction, and then the potential for the next impulsive move into these lows here to the left on the bigger picture basically. Going down to the 4-hour time frame, what I'm looking for right now is we had here a nice impulsive move with one retrace, another impulsive move, and then we failed to connect here in this area. Instead, we just moved back up one more time. We can see it here on the 1-hour time frame. We have this small bear flag continuation, which basically is a liquidity area here, which price seems to retest again. We still have a small gap here, and on the 4-hour time frame we can see that was a bullish high test candle, but we did not tap into it. So since we are going into a new week, so I'm looking for price to close this small gap, retesting this area one more time, and then a reversal candlestick pattern, and on the lower time frame something like a smaller bear flag continuation to enter a short in this area. New Zealand dollar, US dollar is kind of a hedge play the other way around. Actually, we are coming here from a value area. We still have a higher time frame value area slightly below, but we were discussing that before. We have a very nice impulsive run to the upside. We now have kind of here, again, undecisive price action in this area, which could act as a first impulsive move, a correction, a consolidation before we then see the next impulsive move to the upside. Going down to the 4-hour time frame, we can also see here to the left, we have this more significant liquidity area here, and we left a small gap. We also did not reach the previous high here, so this is a slightly lower high here. And now you can see where I'm going, looking on the 4-hour time frame. for next week, that looks like it could form a bigger bull flag continuation. We tapped into this small liquidity area here to the left. We have here a 1, 2, and the third touch. We moved away from this area here impulsively and are now starting to form some form of a bull flag continuation pattern going down to the 1 hour time frame. That's what I'm looking for early next week. I would like to see a clear structure, a 1 hour bull flag structure here for entering a long trade in this area. Even though with what we discussed with Euro and Australian dollar before, I still think that's a very nice hedge play. So it depends. We will see in what direction the DXY is moving early next week. That should give us a bit more clarity. US dollar, Canadian dollar on the weekly time frame, we can see we had quite a sell-off the previous few weeks, months actually, and now a first reversal, impulsive reversal week. That's quite a strong candle. We closed almost full body, and we also retested this whole price action here to the left. This is not a very significant value area here. Nevertheless, it is an area of interest. We can see that here on the 4 hour time frame, and we are now here looking for a continuation long. For me, it looks like here we had this descending wedge. The area of interest is slightly higher above, and we still have here an area of interest to look at. This did not retest the previous low here to the left, so there is an argument for price to at least retest this area here. And we had this very nice impulsive move outside this wedge and are now looking for a smaller consolidation here, a bullish continuation pattern to enter along. As long as we are not tapping into this area here to the left and we form a very deliberate structure here, we should be okay to enter along, which then should be enough to just manage it to this high, and then the next area to just consider at least being break even is in this area, and then we target the next highs here to the left. Pound Australian dollar on the weekly time frame, we can see here we are still kind of in a bearish run. We had this very nice bearish start. We then have a consolidation, and we now had this one bullish retrace week. However, going down to the 4 hour time frame, what I'm looking for right now is I did not give up on the short yet, because we had this very nice expanding structure here. We had the sell-off, we broke below, we did not really tap into it. There is a small gap to the low, so there is an argument to fill at least this area here, and we are now forming a bigger structure through this area of interest here to the left. So we tapped into this small liquidity point here, had an initial nice sell-off, but then failed to connect, and now instead we are creeping back up one more time. So that's not really uncommon. So we see that fairly often recently, especially in these pairs, that we might tap into the previous high again before we then see a turnaround and a bearish continuation on the lower time frame. Pound New Zealand dollar, very similar on the weekly time frame. We can see we had this very nice initial sell-off. We then have these two indecisive weeks. The first one and the second one, you can argue it's a reversal pattern. However, I'm still looking for a short continuation, and you can see why here on the 4 hour time frame. I'm looking for an expanding structure here to finish, for price to finish this retesting basically this low again and finish this expanding structure and entering a short in this area. It's fairly large structure, so most likely I will look for an insurance entry, so a reversal pattern on the 4 hour time frame followed by a lower time frame consolidation for then entering a short in this area. This would also line up with more or less the 50% retrace of this impulsive move to the downside. So as long as we are trading below the 50% here in this area, we should be fine, and there is definitely an argument to continue short on this pair. Australian dollar yen on the weekly, we had this on watch last week already, and we were looking for longs. We tapped into this value area here to the left, and we are in a nice bullish momentum run to the upside. We now have 1 week stalling price action Going down to the 4-hour time frame, we are basically looking for price to continue. A nice 4-hour structure would be preferable. We here on the 1-hour time frame, we can see we have a small liquidity area here, fairly well visible. We left a small gap here, so that would be the start, the first base, and we are now looking on the 4-hour for price to finish this overall bull flag structure to then enter along in this area. I have to check, that is already more than 1.2, 1.3%. So there might also be an argument to take short-term short trades into the low here. The same goes for Canadian dollar yen. We had this on watch as well for quite some time, and we are looking for price to finish this expanding. We are here on the weekly time frame. We can see we have some bullish pressure here with the long wicks, and we are now, even though we had this one bearish week, I'm still looking for price to finish this overall structure. We are here back on the 4-hour time frame, and we have this potentially expanding structure. We have this override area here, and I'm now looking for price on the lower time frame to actually tap into this area here. So that's the higher time frame play, the short from this area, preferably from this liquidity area, and finishing the expanding structure. And for a short-term trade, I would entertain a long in this area. I'm here on the 1-hour time frame, and what I'm looking for here is we tapped into this small area of interest. We then have the first impulsive move to the upside, and price is now starting to stall. And considering we will start with Asia session then on Monday, so we might see price to stall in this area, forming a nice deliberate price action structure, a bull flag structure on the 15-minute, which would then be basically a flat flag on the 1-hour time frame, which would then allow me to enter a long trade in this area. New Zealand dollar yen on the weekly time frame. Again, we are here as well. We tapped into this area of interest, which is basically the low of all this price action here to the left. We now have a very nice impulsive run. We had a stall in price last week. Going down to the 4-hour time frame, there's still room to the upside to the next more significant area of interest. We are now looking for price to finish this bull flag structure here. We are definitely below these more significant areas here, so you can see we did not tap into anything yet. We are still here in an ascending area, in a bullish area, and we are now forming a bigger bull flag structure just through this small high here to the left. And I'm looking for price to finish this 1, 2, 3 as a bull flag structure, and would then entertain a long on the 4-hour time frame to at least finish the run into this high here, or potentially higher up then. Pound Swiss francs on the weekly time frame, we are in long territory. We had such bad sell-offs against the Swiss francs, and we can see now we have here the first bullish reaction over the last month basically, and we still in a bullish run here. It's not clearly committed. You can see that here on the 4-hour time frame we have corrective price action here, but what I'm looking for is a bullish continuation, because for me it looks like we have here a 1, a 2, and a 3. We had here a 3 at the first bullish pattern, which then failed to connect here, instead came back one more time, and we had that a few times. We were discussing that before on other pairs, that we see that more often recently, and then we had a reaction and broke out of this bigger bull flag continuation, and I'm now looking on the lower time frame for a bullish continuation. So a 1-hour time frame, small hover bull flag pattern would be enough for me to entertain a long trade, which would then be enough to at least manage the trade for break even to the high, to the structure high, and then if that's what it if that's enough to move price higher up, then we are already in a good trade, well positioned. Yeah, that's it. That's my watch list for the week. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye bye.